This is getting sad. This is getting really pathetic. Could you imagine comparing Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to Michael Jordan? But that's what we heard from many quote-unquote basketball experts lately. We have seen a lot of cheap imitations in the past, but this is where I draw the line. For those who are convinced that the comparisons are fair, either have never seen Jordan play or have completely forgotten the foundation of his greatness. As great as his numbers, moments, performances, and accolades are, that is just the surface. There's an immensely important aspect that allowed him to be widely considered the greatest player of all time. It's something that I believe with all my heart that SGA will never possess. If you stop watching the NBA and have completely tuned out the mainstream media, let me catch you up on how we got to this sad place. Some people went absolutely bonkers for what he achieved the past 2 seasons. Somehow, some way, we're allowing people who get paid to talk about sports for a living to compare someone to the GOAT because of 2 great seasons. Talk about recency bias. Talk about a lack of patience to allow someone to build a respectable resume and to pass other legends before we get to the final boss. But that's what they've done. Let me remind you that Michael Jordan and SGA both won their first title in their 7th season. Here's a simplified overview of what Jordan accomplished in those 7 years. Rookie of the Year, MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, 4 straight scoring titles, 2 years where he led the league in steals, 6 straight All-Star appearances, an All-Star Game MVP, 4 All-NBA First Team selections, 3 All-NBA Defensive First Team selections, 2 second-place finishes for the MVP, 1 third-place finish, 4 50-point games in the playoffs. That includes the highest scoring playoff game in league history, 3 playoff series where he averaged over 43 points per game. He led his team to the conference finals twice and made one of the greatest playoff buzzer beaters ever. Again, just a simplified overview. Now let's go to SGA's accomplishments. 2 All-NBA First Team selections, 2 All-Star appearances, 1 second place finish for the MVP, 1 5th place finish, and the farthest he went in the playoffs was the semifinals. That's the list. It should also be noted that he missed the playoffs in 3 straight years, and his playoff career high was 36 points. Meanwhile, Jordan averaged a combined 35.8 points per game in the playoffs from 1985 to 1990. So there's that. Come on guys, what are we doing? Michael had major achievements. He already had a first ballot Hall of Fame resume before he even started winning titles. So whenever he did win his first title, you could actually start comparing him to the all-time greats. We obviously cannot say the same for SGA. Yes, it's true that he's among 4 players to win the regular season MVP, scoring title, and finals MVP in the same season. Yes, it's true that he could have been the only player, along with Michael Jordan, to win back-to-back MVPs, back-to-back finals MVPs, while averaging over 30 points per game for both years. That would have been an impressive feat. But the reality is that he would have had a long way to go before we could put them in the same galaxy, because we're not even counting what Jordan did from 1991 and beyond. That's what makes this so unfair. But maybe the SGA fans are saying, we're not making the comparisons because of the resume, it's the style of play. It's for the numbers he has posted the past 4 seasons. That's what makes him Jordan-esque. I'm here to tell you, we're still not buying it. That might sound unfair, but let me tell you why. I will acknowledge that averaging over 30 points per game while shooting over 50% for 4 seasons is impressive. Jordan was able to do the same for 5 straight seasons. But did you know that there was someone who technically did the same during the 80s? Can you guess who it was? It was Adrian Dantley. From 1981 to 1984, he averaged over 30 points per game, but he was doing much better than 50% shooting. He was averaging over 55% from the field each year. I will put out the disclaimer that he only played 22 games in the 1982/83 season. However, he was averaging 58% from the field. If he was healthy, he was on pace to shatter records when it comes to efficiency. For me, this is a much better comp for SGA. AD was also great at drawing fouls. In fact, he currently ranks 5th all-time in career free throws per game. He was a fantastic mid-range shooter and a bully down the block. Even though he was such a dominant scorer, he wasn't getting universal acclaim. He was never described as must-see TV. I feel like SGA gets the same treatment. For For someone who is such a dominant scorer, his playstyle isn't exactly appealing. It's very efficient, but it's certainly not capturing the heart of the masses. Now here's the larger point. Have you heard anyone compare Adrian Dantley to Michael Jordan just because of how similar the scoring numbers are? In my entire life, I've never heard it once. Just because you're scoring baskets in the same area doesn't mean you're doing it the same way. Do I even have to say that MJ was much more than just a mid-range scorer? He was exceptional in the post, even before we got to the late 90s, and he was the most exciting finisher. The things that he can do under the basket is something that many of the players of today's era can't do. And that's another thing. Every great scorer who was a guard or a small forward prior to 2016 scored the vast majority of their points in the mid-range or near the basket. From George Gervin to Carmelo Anthony to frickin' Paul Pierce. Why do we always have to go straight to Michael? Why can't we just start with someone like, I don't know, Joe Dumars, and then go from there as they accomplish more and more things? But boys and girls, I haven't even touched the most important factor. This is what truly separates these two players and is why SGA will never touch Jordan's throne. It's the mentality. One player is widely regarded as having the toughest mentality of any athlete ever, while the other is the epitome of weakness. And this has nothing to do with coming up short in big moments. SGA is actually a well-respected player performer. It's the flopping. It's the amount of times this dude falls on the floor with the most minimal contact. Let me tell you a quick story that explains perfectly the problem at hand. I was watching Game 7 of the conference finals at my sister-in-law's house. They had some friends over and they were watching the game with me just to keep me company. I was the only basketball fan there. As we're watching the game, someone screamed, "Man, that guy sure does fall down a lot." They had no biases, they didn't care who won, and they had no idea who this man was. They made the obvious observation. I have never in my life heard anyone describe a player the same way in all my years of watching basketball. We've all seen the statistics. No one falls down as much as he does. When you have casual observers pointing that out instead of your actual play, we got a problem. This is now part of his identity. I'm going to be straight up with you. Someone that falls down and flops the amount of times that he does is a clear sign of someone who has a weak mentality. Yes, it's true that everyone is guilty of selling calls. You'll surely find plays of Jordan or Kobe doing that. But that's nowhere near the same as what SGA is guilty of. I guarantee that you can't find a single game from Michael's 15-year career where he is flopping and falling to the floor without being touched multiple times in one game. It never happened. The reason is because he had too much pride. As a man, he would never stoop to that level just to get points. He probably knew that he could manipulate the refs if he wanted to and would get the call every single time. But he had too much respect for the game. If he wanted to get to the free throw line, he was going to do it the hard way. That means learning how to pump fake in order to get the player in the air. And yes, it means being willing to take the punishment and drive straight to the teeth of the defense. He embraced the contact. He learned how to take a hit. He knew it was a part of the game. Remember, there was a time where Jordan had the same build as SGA. He wasn't someone that would bully his opponents with his strength in the beginning of his career. He was known for his athleticism, quickness, and finesse. That presented a problem when he faced the most physical team of his era, the Bad Boy Pistons. They made it a point to punish him time and time again when he drove to the lane. And what did he do to address this problem? He didn't try to manipulate the game. He didn't turn into handsome Squidward and just start flailing his way to the free throw line. No, he went to the gym and got stronger. He didn't want to show any signs of weakness. He was going to continue to drive to the lane and he was going to punish them if they tried to contest him. As the years went by, he got even stronger. It got to the point that no matter who was guarding him, it was a clear mismatch. Not just for his skill, impeccable footwork, and soft shooting touch, but also because he would just overpower the smaller guards. Many times, they had no choice but to foul him. That is much more different than what SJ has been guilty of doing every single game. That is a clear sign to me that you don't like physical play, that you don't embrace the contact, so you just shamelessly fall to the floor, hoping the refs will bail you out. In big moments during the conference finals against San Antonio, I noticed he would do exactly that. A mentally tough player doesn't put an important game in the hands of the ref. You do your thing. If they call it, great. If they don't, no problem. I'm making the shot anyways. That's not something that I see from him consistently. For me, this explains perfectly this next important stat. Throughout Jordan's entire playoff career, he has scored under 20 points 6 times. For SGA, he has a total of 6 for the last 2 playoff appearances alone. I'm talking 2026 and 2025, his 2 MVP seasons. The tougher the competition, the more aggressive the defense gets, the more he disappears. He is not the same player in the regular season that he is in the playoffs. Again, it's a clear sign of a weak player. Sorry, they're not the same and is not even close. Unfortunately for him, everyone's starting to realize this. Did you know that the Western Conference Finals series averaged 10.8 million viewers? This made it the most watched conference finals in 24 years. In the national stage, he showed his true colors, and it was obvious who the rest of the world was rooting for. It was the Spurs, not just because of Wemby and how exciting he is to watch. It's because that style of play draws fans away. It's not something that we'll ever embrace. That love and respect from casual fans is gone. And I can assure you that his competition does not respect his style of play. I can only imagine how the OGs of the game view him. This is very important if you care about your legacy and how you'll be viewed once you hang it all up. It's the same reason why Kobe gets so much love from fans and former players. Even though the media absolutely hates him, his peers always defend him. They always put him in the GOAT conversation. It's not just for the numbers and the achievements, it's more because of the intangibles. They deeply respect the way he viewed the game. They admire his tough mentality. As a competitor, he's everything that you want as a leader and an athlete. For SGA, it's the complete opposite. He doesn't get even 1% of the love that MJ receives from fans worldwide. As far as his peers, there aren't many right now that are singing his praises or coming to his defense. I believe there are many who have lost all respect for him. As fans, we care much more about what they think than what the analytical nerds say. Right now, he's on the wrong side. He has the wrong people coming to his defense. When it's all said and done, that's gonna hurt him. We all recognize that he's a great player. He's gonna end up being an all-timer. But I strongly believe that he'll end up being underrated solely because of the reputation he's starting to gain. What about you all? Do you think the flopping is hurting his legacy? Do you think he could ever bounce back from this? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.